You wake up and you look at the spiritual mirror and you're like, okay, here's how I'm feeling. Here's my projected, goals for the day. Here's what I want to accomplish. And it could be actually like work, regular things. It could also just be more virtuous things, like in the sense of I want to be kinder, or I'm going to be more patient. And at night, before you go to sleep, you actually evaluate that. Since many of us don't do that, right? Since we don't evaluate on a daily basis where you are, then of course you can't make any change because you don't know what you're changing for, or you don't know what needs to change. But if every night before you go to sleep, you're like, okay, this was a tough day. I was rude here. And honestly, I was very impulsive in this situation. And this is not the first time. I'm always impulsive. Then just like you go to the gym to target an area with a certain exercise, you're finding your target areas that once you wake up and you pray, you can ask for the grace for transformation of the renewal of your mind, right? Yeah. Why? And it's maybe in a practical way. I'm just trying to think of like, okay, well, if somebody's listening to this, like what something that just can be easily taken away is the practical of what aspect of what St. Paul is saying is this. You're a human being and you go through a variety of things on a weekly, on a daily, on an hourly basis, right? And just like water, for it to remain clean, it needs to be filtered. Many of us don't have a filter. We leave the same filter in, and then we're surprised when 6 months, when things are not changing or they're not improving, or sometimes they're just getting worse. It's because you're not changing your filter. Your mind, your filter for a lot of these things, your mind and your heart, they're not getting renewed. And so these periods of actual prayer on a daily basis, morning, evening, even if you want to increase it, allow it to go and just be renewed, right? Which is, man, this is what I did. This is how I failed, but okay, let me start again tomorrow. Many of us don't do that. I work in a high school, and whether it be teachers or students, something that's really visible. This is not just of a school, this is everywhere. Is that many people wake up with the same things that they carried from the night before and carry those into the day, and then go to sleep with those same things. And then those tiny little things start to add up into the point where many of us say, I need a day off, or I can't do this anymore, right? Because you're not constantly being renewed. You don't have a cycle for it. Your cycle is clog it all up, explode, start again, right? St. Paul's method is totally different. He's like, be transformed by the renewal of your mind on a constant basis, on a daily basis. And that way you can actually measure like where you're going, where you're at. Here's something that's very recommended within the Christian world, which is journal. Hey, here's how I did today. Here's how I'm feeling. Here's where I failed. Here's where I rocked. Something that I notice is when you journal, when you start keeping track, over time, as you start looking back, you're like, wow, this is where I was at before, but this small changed. Wow, like things did change, right? Like, and I can see how like doing this, it's helped me. It's like helping me progress and helping me grow. Be transformed by the renewal of your mind.
Yeah, Nico, everything you just said is really relatable to me in my life. I'm sure a lot of people can find a lot of relatability in their own lives. I want to even touch even more upon that first verse where it talks about presenting our lives and our bodies as a living sacrifice, right? Like Paul literally says that this is our spiritual worship, is our lives. And I think about the idea of the difference between something that's life-changing and lifestyle-changing.
I'll never be alone, I'm with you. You're closer to my heart than I knew.